sure it's the only reason I'm alive.
Hail to the queen.
It's a weird one.
So, balancing work and music?
So, yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
We're rolling right now, so you just basically...
You can cut the beginning
You
out.
said it in the perfect way. Balancing work, day jobs, and working in the music industry at the same time. That is the topic of Bucketlist Radio, May 5th.
Cinco de Mayo,
Yeah.
motherfucker!
Yeah, that was so good. My name is Liz. I am the founder of Bucketlist Music Reviews, and I'm here today with a couple of Bucketheads and a couple of special guests. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves? We can start with...
Oh, I'm Talia. I live in Laval. I'm a loser, and I'm a music teacher.
Okay.
There you
and
go.
you write for Bucketlist?
And I write for Bucketlist, yeah.
You skipped out on the thing
I'm
you
new,
do.
I'm sorry. I'm new.
On the
It's-
reason
it's-
why you're here.
Okay.
It's still sinking in.
I'm Serge, and I work for Extensive Enterprise.
I'm Ryan. I do many things. I am also a loser, and I don't work for Bucketlist.
Me neither.
Yeah, all right. High five.
This is Lee. I'm a writer at Bucketlist, and I play drums in Urban Spells, the band from Montreal.
I'm Jason, longtime panel member, first time sober. I write for Bucketlist. I work for Dungeon Works, Extensive, sometimes Evenco. I write for Bucketlist, and I don't
Bucketlist.
sleep ever.
Since Jason waved his around, I guess I should improve my bio.
I work with half the people here is what I mean.
I mean, I could say the same. If we really want to go with that in depth, I could say I work for Evenco. I work for this. I work for that. I'm a publicist. I work in digital media marketing. But yeah, go Ryan. You can do it.
No,
Show
I
off.
think I'm
Comic-Con.
above this.
Oh, we should have all said our day job since that's the topic.
Oh, I'm not going to say my day job here.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it.
So.
But
I work for fun events, and I work for fun events, and I'm a musician, and that's why I guess I was asked to be here today. Besides my charming smile, nobody can see because you're listening to this.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
yeah, so the topic. So we all struggle with, I shouldn't say struggle, that's a negative word. We all have day jobs that help us support the things we do outside of the day jobs. So we're basically here today to discuss the struggles, and hopefully our listeners who also have the struggle, I'm saying the negative word, but whatever, can find something.
Maybe the challenge.
Yeah, I mean, it is
Living like
struggling.
normal people.
Yeah, we are responsible adults that, need to pay the bills and are involved in the music industry as well. And unfortunately, music doesn't pay, especially nowadays. And we're here to just sort of talk about it and get dive into it a little bit. And we all have that. So, anyone like to start and give their story on what they?
Something came to mind when you said that is
Okay.
that I recall selling a $5 demo tape and people actually buying that, but the modern kid probably couldn't fathom spending $5 on an entire album. And I'm like, we should have made more money back then. I could have got out of DeLorean and said, dude, record every month, keep all of it.
How much are CDs now? Like on iTunes when you buy
I don't
an
know.
album?
HMV's gone. It's a Canada Goose, so
Well,
I don't
they have-
know.
I don't
There's
even know how much
Sunrise
it is on
Records.
iTunes.
Yeah.
Like I haven't
iTunes
ever
$1
done that.
$7.99
Online?
They're still the same price. Like they're still roughly about the same price, but at least
You don't get anything physical. It's like
well, the
it feels
vinyl
like
industry
nothing.
is really booming. Thank God. At least there's something. But
Yeah.
it's a tough business out there working in music, and all of us have that. I'm saying this word all the like
Challenge.
many times.
Just say
Struggle,
challenge.
challenge.
Challenge. Nice word.
Right. So some of us are musicians. Some of us have been bands and toured, and Ryan is one of those people. And Ryan was just telling us before we went on about when you toured for a while, and how was that working a day job and touring and.
I gotta say, thanks to the fact that I didn't move out of my parents' house till a late age was the only way to sustain it, because when you get home, I'm an editor by contract, so you do as much as you could before leaving, but people in bands I've been in have, lost their jobs because they, chose to go out on the road, and it's unfortunate because you come home, the shows don't. It sounds like it's like this poor me thing. It's like no one gets paid. So it's not like my band specifically. So when you're sleeping in a van in a Walmart parking lot, it's 5 a.m. It's a million degrees and you can't sleep and you're just pissed. Then that show comes and that delightful lottery ticket, you know? Every once in a while you have that show that makes you keep going. You think you're going to break. But the reason why any of us do any of this is that, you know, that magical 45 minutes we get once in a while.
Hard dick fucking moment of night.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, it's not just when you're playing shows too. When you're kind of behind the scenes, it's also the same deal.
I would love to hear about this.
Like the payoff is maybe 5 minutes every day. I'd say, in total. I mean, when you're talking to people after, like, let's say a music lesson, right? So you're talking to somebody after their music lesson and you're going over what you just did. And especially if you're going over it with, like, a parent, you have to, like, come back saying, like, okay, please come back and pay another $40 to see me again. And, like, I'm going to do something for your kid. But they don't see that, like, ever. They don't see that really that much because they see the day-to-day progress. But then how do you know that that kid's not going to grow up and, like, I don't know, be like a cool recorder. I don't know what could come. You could do a million things if you start with music lessons. So the payoff for us is not really that much either. So the day job is also kind of just as shitty as the stuff we do on the side.
Yeah.
But
can I validate your life for a second? I will never ever forget like the people that taught me how to play
Same.
guitar for the first time. They were the key masters to another reality, and everything they showed me was like every lesson I had when I first started was like the most exciting day of my life. So
well, I mean, I hope that a lot of music teachers out there are that way. But I mean, somebody did it for me too, so that's why I do what I do. Because somebody was there for me too.
self-taught as a musician, so I kind of regret that I don't have those experiences.
Nah, but you learn other stuff. You learn other stuff that people who don't take music lessons learn.
True. And like I've had mentors and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
Not necessarily teachers, but
I didn't have any friends that played, so literally, like this dude playing guitar was Jimmy Page in my face. Like I was like, oh my god, this guy can play, you know, Green Day. and in hindsight,
I know
it's like,
which guy you're referring to.
three-chord
That really
solo
didn't amount to much.
So anyway, I just don't have any friends that play, but that's amazing.
Oh, thank you. You're so
I guess
so
it just comes
validating.
down to it has to be a passion thing. You know, like ultimately you can't expect to have great success. You just have to be passionate and be okay with that.
For sure.
Yep. I mean, I don't actually make. I make peanuts working for doing what I do with Bucketlist, and it's a full-time job for me. So besides my actual day job, so I work like about 70 hours a week because if I want to keep the passion alive and make money so I can pay my bills, I have no choice. But it's definitely a passion project that I'm hoping one day will lead to something that can help me out. But music is definitely a passion, and we are passionate people, so we don't do it for anything but. And Serge,
Yeah.
I'm gonna put the spotlight on you.
No.
So you work for Extensive Enterprise. So what do you do for Extensive Enterprise?
Oh boy, I hate being asked that question just because it's so vague, and I feel like I'm a man with many hats at Extensive. But it's cool because like I guess like mainly I take care of like a lot of the marketing and mostly online marketing for Dave. But like I'll help him run production. Anything he really needs and anything I could really dive into and get my hands on, like I'll take the challenge even if it's something new to me. And that's where like the passion comes in. Like I feel like what I do with Extensive and what I do with my day job is two complete opposites. So I work in a corporate firm at an accounting firm.
Right, but you do marketing.
I
right?
work in the marketing department of an accounting firm, but it's like way, way, way different than what you would expect traditional marketing to be. So when it comes to Extensive, it's just anything I can take my hands on, even though like I know it's work overload. To me, I've never seen it that way just because I enjoy doing it so much. And I'm a very strong believer if you love what you do, you'll never feel like you're working a single minute of your life. And that's how I feel with Extensive. So I'm super happy that I have that resource and something that I can go do outside of my 9 to 5 and just distress and be in a more casual environment and just be in the music industry and do what I love to do.
Can be therapeutic too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like I love
Get you away from that whole day.
I love
thing.
coming to a venue when it's loaded in. I love meeting bands. I love being in
Yeah,
an environment. Like
You're
it's
not
awesome.
getting paid to do it necessarily,
No,
but
but
it's helping you in other ways.
And
For
that was another
sure.
thing. Like for the longest time, like I did it for like peanuts to none, like you said, and I just stuck around because I knew like this is what I want to be doing in life. So it was just like, why say no to the experience?
And
so,
it might lead to something bigger.
and it has, and like I'm sure it'll even grow bigger if I keep like pursuing at it. But definitely like everything I've done musically has led to something, like has led to the person that I am today, and I'm like super grateful, and like I'm, even if it has like had no benefits at the time, I'm still happy I did it, you know. So
well, there you go.
Sometimes you don't see the benefits either until like years
exactly
later, and
yeah,
like, wow, I'm
for sure,
grateful that I did that. Like
for sure.
Know, at the time, you're like, oh, this is a waste of time.
Yeah.
Or,
You don't know you're in the golden age until it's gone, man.
True.
And they're like, you look back and you're like, oh, I guess I was a golden age.
Yeah.
Like, man, I grew up in this mecca of awesomeness, like with the Solid X and stuff. Like, you take that stuff for granted. You're like,
100%.
oh yeah, I'm a dude in a band. I'm gonna go play a show. I'm 16. And some people might show up. That's cool. And then the Lex closes, and then you realize, oh crap! So anybody who's not 18 can't play anywhere. And when you can play somewhere, it's like Cafe Long Conditional.
Oh fuck!
I love that place.
Me too. I broke my
love that
face outside that place. Actually,
not crack den ever.
And that's the thing. Like, I feel like we always forget to like remind ourselves, like I feel like we're in a really good era for music too. Like,
You think so?
I really think so. Like, I feel like especially like in like the more independent metalcore, hardcore scene, whatever you want to call it, there's a lot going on that like people are unaware of, I find. And like bands that were like playing like Underworld 10 years ago are like fucking selling out Club Soda, Metropolis today. Like, it's insane what's going on. Like, all the new bands that are coming out are just blowing off the charts, like getting on festivals, like just selling insane amount of records, like playing to thousands of people every night. Like, there's something really exciting going on that I don't feel like people have still like fully grasped onto yet.
But that's within the hardcore scene specifically?
There's a little bit of a duality to that.
Yes.
Because it really does happen in all scenes. If you really want to dig into it, it happens like that. But the duality of it, yes, more people are getting out and getting their opportunity. But even as our Lord and Savior Dave would say, the pie is staying the same size. There's just more mouths to feed.
Yeah.
So whereas, 30, 40 years ago, Metallica coming out and playing a stadium to 50, 60, 100,000 fucking people, that was a mind-blowing thing. You will seldomly see something like that with any one of the bands that have come out in our generation, but there's more of them getting to enjoy that ride and getting to sustain themselves in some way, shape, or form in that ride.
For sure.
Even if it's just minimal lifestyles, no fancy fucking cars or shoes or houses or any of that crap. You know what I mean? So yes, awesome age for the fact that it's more feasible for all of us to get our opportunities. Not so awesome in the sense that it's really, really diluted the market and it's made it more difficult for people to get that first foot in the door.
For sure. It's
Once
just
you're in the door, you have that chance of living it.
Yeah, it's that's because like I feel like there's just so much going on too. You know, like so many bands.
It's too
like,
busy.
Yeah, it's way too busy.
Yeah.
Like there's you can for sure find 5 shows every night in Montreal to go to. Minimal.
Without any question.
Minimal.
Any
That's-
question.
yeah,
at all.
that's Montreal.
Yeah.
We have so many venues.
Yeah.
They're booked all the time. Like all bands are touring at all times of the year. Like everyone's putting out records. Like
Well, I mean, the
There's
touring
so much
thing.
going on.
The touring thing is the reason there's so many tours going on is because that's their way of making money now. They don't make money off record
it's the
sales.
only way.
yeah,
Sure.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so that's their day job.
T-shirt sales.
Touring. Yeah,
T-shirts.
buy merch,
Buy band
buy the
merch.
merch. Yeah, because
Yeah.
that's
Go
what
to
they
a
make
show.
their money off.
Buy a
Go to a
ticket and
show.
go to a show. That's like
Yeah.
begin there. That's the most
Yeah.
important advice I can tell.
Or you can
anybody.
pay
How much does a band
$2,500
make?
to get VIP to see Oprah Winfrey.
Jesus
Oh my
fucking
God.
That just cracks me up. I'm sorry.
I feel like she's
can't-
earned that status though.
Oh,
I think everybody here has had to done this. It's just like, please pay attention to what I'm doing. You know,
Yeah,
here's
of
my
course.
band. Here's my website. Here's my website. Here's everything.
validation.
Everything is. Please pay attention to what I'm doing. And I remember when I was 15, I thought bands were like these cool, mysterious people. I saw this band, the Deviates, play on a small stage in front of 5 people. I thought they were the coolest band in the world at the Vans Warped Tour in '99. And now I'm like, oh God, you're in a band. You're like a Mormon. You're gonna come to my door, try to sell me your fucking album at 7 a.m. Yeah.
How many fucking children do you have?
So-
Jesus Christ.
So I used to be chasing after bands, and now bands are chasing after me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, chasing after you, I should say. Bands don't give a shit about me.
No.
Not even the ones in my band.
It's super weird. It's super weird to have that. It's so easy with social media nowadays to have that interaction and have bands approach you and be like, "Hey, can you share this? Can you share that?" Like I had like, I mean, I'm very brief, but I mean, I had a very brief discussion with Jesse Leach the other day on Instagram because it's easy. Like everybody is is very prone to, or not prone, but available because of social media to just to just throw in a little line and say, hey, what's up? And then listen to my band and whatever. I get that all the time. Whereas when I was a teenager, I was the one chasing and being like, I want to know this person and that person. And I would hang out behind the Cabaret or Metropolis or Spectrum and be like, I'm going to wait to meet these bands. And I met tons of bands doing that. So I went for lunch with Lit. Remember Lit, the band Lit?
Yeah.
My Own Worst Enemy, you know?
Yeah.
I went for lunch with them by accident because they were in the same diner as I was about to go see Silverchair, and they were opening up for Silverchair. And they were sitting next to us, and they overheard us talking, and they're like, oh, we're opening for Silverchair tonight. Do you want to sit with us? And we went to sit with them, and we had lunch, and they let us on the show for free. So it's like, you know, now it's...
That's such a 90s story.
It is a very, the 90s were like my jam.
Yes, man, I love it.
I know.
I love playing all-age shows because when you hit, like, you know, when you play in front of a bunch of 28-year-olds, 35-year-olds, they don't give a shit anymore.
Yeah, speaking as a 38-year-old, I'm so jaded now.
But but when you're 14, 15, everything is magic.
Yes. Oh yeah.
And you're nice to, and a band is nice to you when you're 14 or 15. The Fabulous Disasters, they let me into a NoFX show, going on 20 years ago, and I haven't forgotten it. You know what I mean? You do remember that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like bands out there, be nice to the fucking kids.
Yes.
Seriously. Like, oh God, I'm so pissed I'm famous. Fuck you.
Yeah. Take the time to talk to them. Like, go to your fucking merch table after the show. Like, say hello.
Yeah,
it goes
I
a
love
long
that.
way.
Yeah.
People that just hide in a green room and charge tons of money to meet people is just ridiculous.
I know. The meet and greets now.
The meet and greet is
that's
a
how they make
means,
their money.
but because there's no money and people aren't paying for as much, they do meet and greets to sustain themselves on the road. Like, I was filming an interview for Dungeon Works. Well, no, not Dungeon Works. Shit.
Oh, probably Loud Tracks.
Yeah, Loud Tracks. I was filming for Loud Tracks.
Website that he
runs. And it was a guy who used to play for the Scorpions, and he was saying it's just like it's the only way we
John
can.
Roth.
Yeah, it's like it's how we can sustain ourselves on the road because we spend so much money doing other tours, getting things over here, importing, shipping. It's all those other costs. It's not I want more money. It's a different world. No one's buying albums anymore. How do we sustain ourselves?
Yeah.
Exactly.
But there are people that want to pay for meet and greets, and that's all nice and good for the people that want to.
For the hardcore fans, or it works. Like there's still people out there.
If
that
you
do
told me for $60 or $70 I could meet Green Day when I was 15, I would have mouth kissed. I would have mouth kissed you.
Because there's other ways to kiss, right?
I know. I was going to say other weird.
This podcast is very quickly.
I'm not sure how
everything we were talking about. Ryan, tell us all the ways you can kiss a person.
I would have dropped to my knees. But seriously, imagine
that one's called a penis kiss.
Oh my god.
Well, there were meet and greets, but for free. Remember, like HMV used to throw them all the time.
I met Blink-182 like that.
I met the Tea Party. I met Lenny Kravitz. I met Moist. Remember Moist?
Yeah.
You know, I met all these bands.
Word.
Yeah, I know. I hate that word. I hate the word moist.
I like it.
love that
I
word.
hate.
Not so
I don't know
bad.
why I hate that word.
You know your favorite TV series or something, and you remember every minute of it?
Yes.
I remember me in Blink-182. Every minute of it. It probably was about 46 seconds,
There
but I
you go.
remember it like a movie.
How old are you?
Yeah.
I was 15.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah. 14 or 15, yeah. It was It was right before Enema of the State came out, and I was familiar with Scott the drummer, and here's this bald, pretty boy looking dude, and I'm like, who the fuck's that? That's not Scott. I just got gypped. I had him sign an autograph of a picture of Scott, and then later on, he's Travis Barker, who becomes one of the most famous drummers of that generation. So
Well, he's a great drummer.
Yeah, never now.
Yeah.
I actually should probably get back on the topic of what we do for our lives to sustain music, but I do remember this one time. So one of the only real jobs I have with Extensive Enterprises, I help run the street team that does all the ground promotion and stuff like that. And me and some of the guys on the team were watching Veil of Maya, and it so happens that one of the guys on my street team was wearing a similar bathrobe-y kind of sweater thing that the singer from Veil of Maya was wearing, and a kid came out of the fucking show and was like, oh my god, can you sign my poster? Does not look anything like him. Not a fucking inch. It was Serge would know, it was Eric Burgwine. Looks
Eric
nothing like Lucas from fucking from Veil of Maya.
Right.
And Lucas Magui from fucking Veil of Maya walks by and goes, oh my god, are you the singer of Veil of Maya? And keeps walking.
some dude thought I was Russ Rankin. And it was a dude that my friend knew. And when my friend figured out what was happening, he had a good laugh.
Nice.
You're not Russ Rankin. He's like 10 years older than you. So either he looks really old or I look older than I am. So, yeah.
You'll always have your boyish charm, Ryan.
Thank you.
As long as you got a bottle of bleach, you're good to go.
There we go.
Yeah, the Billy
I
Idol
need help.
look.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
You also wore a leather jacket to the
I
studio
did.
today, and it's hot as fuck.
That's true.
I caught a glimpse
So-
of myself in a car reflection and was amassed with what a douche I look like. So I decided to own it because my hair's growing a little longer,
I like
so it
that it's
almost is
the-
mullety too.
Yeah, I like the roots. I like that there's roots showing. I like when you have it like looking like this.
Okay, cool.
You
Those
pull
are
off douche
perfect.
really well, though.
Thank
I
you.
will say.
Douche
Some people
sandwich.
don't pull
Douche.
it off while you fucking pull it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how many I want to ask Talia, how many?
Yeah.
Oh, again, this is Liz's show. Never mind. I'm sorry.
No, we're all in a discussion here. You can ask Talia.
You only
first.
want to talk to the women.
But thank
Yeah,
you. I
of
appreciate
course.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
For
I'm so sorry.
acknowledging that I'm the
so
moderator
sorry.
here.
Oh,
But yeah.
hail the
But I
queen.
am curious. I can't remember how much my parents paid for lessons. Obviously, when I was 14.
They're expensive.
But how many
They are.
students would you have per day? What do you say?
I think right now I have like 34 or
day?
33 or 34 in total.
Okay.
But a day it varies. Like some days are more popular than other days. It depends on the year too. Like example, Halloween. Halloween is not a holiday, and many people don't show up to Halloween. So when Halloween falls on a weekday, that let's say like a Wednesday or some shit, like it was this year or last year, people tend to not sign up because they don't want to show up or they don't want to miss lessons on that certain day. So they'll sign up like more on the weekend or whatever, you know? So it depends. It
Okay.
depends, but yeah, it goes by year. Like this year, Tuesdays and Wednesdays are wild. Like nonstop movement. Like I have like 13 kids in a row, nonstop. And Mondays are a little bit slower, but last year Mondays were like 15 kids in a row, nonstop. No lunch, no nothing.
See, I'm self-important, and I assumed I was my teacher's only student.
We all assume
Like a
that.
Jedi.
I'm pretty sure that most of them do as well, but that's good because that makes them nicer to me. So that's
You saw
a
another
good thing.
student walking in. Who's this?
Actually, can I
You know
say
they
one
do
thing?
that.
Can I say
They
one
do
thing
that.
about my guitar teacher? It's this actually my guitar teacher was instrumental in helping me get some of my first shows because his other guitar student started a band. And they were called, this is the actress Alison Louder, and she had a band called Frustrated Telephone Operator. And we all went to the same guitar. He's like, oh, well, can I give them your number? Maybe you guys could have a show together. So before I started playing Lex and all that, we were playing like in a convenience center or youth center or something. And
Cool.
that's some of our first shows that weren't at my dad's gym or my high school was that. Our first enter into the world of our non-comfort zone. So it all because of my guitar teacher. Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't like my piano teacher. He was weird.
Hey, some of them really suck.
Yeah, he was really weird. Like I was very uncomfortable with him. That's why I quit. And I wish I just also I was like a teenager and rebelling against the whole thing. And I regret it now because if I stuck with it, I would have been really good now. But yeah, I didn't like him.
That
Just wanted
sucks
to
too,
throw
because
that
if
out.
you would have had a good teacher, maybe you would have continued.
Yeah,
too,
exactly.
You know? So it
Yeah.
shows you how important it is to have a good teacher.
Absolutely. Yeah, he was weird.
Moral
I
of the story
remember.
being, don't be a dickhead if you're going to teach people.
Well, he wasn't a dickhead. He was just weird. Like he had like pedophile vibes and stuff. Like he was just weird. Like,
That still kind of follows.
I don't think
falls
Talia
into
comes
dickhead,
across
like,
as
Yeah.
pedophile.
That's
Yeah,
more than
no,
weird,
that's
I'd say.
fucking dope.
yeah, that is no. I mean, he obviously wasn't a pedophile, but he had the vibe. Like I was just creeped out by him. But yeah.
He's just playing the piano in his underwear, like, hey.
Oh, God.
Do what I'm doing. Just watch and repeat.
Follow my hands.
Oh God.
Lesson 1.
I remember what he looks like too, like exactly. And I'm just getting flashbacks.
Oh,
That
no.
sounds haunting as shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
not
tried
good.
telling my mom, but she's like, "No, you're gonna continue," and I did it for 2.5 years. And then I had a
Dude, what the
recital.
fuck?
I had a few recitals, and I fucked up one of them. And after that, I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. I was like 13, you know, and I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore, and I stopped.
I feel like crucifying your teacher, to be honest.
pretty
Like,
much.
fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Self-promotion.
Ah.
Well, you know, I want
Bring it
Talia
on,
to be my
bitches.
teacher. I want Talia to be my teacher
Let's
now.
work that out.
We're gonna learn like
Anytime,
all
man.
these like cool, like porcupine tree songs and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll turn you into a hippie.
I'm kind of glad Talia
Already hippie,
wasn't
my
my
dear.
teacher, though. When I was 15, I'm kind of glad Talia wasn't my teacher because I was like terrified of women.
Now, Ryan, I'd like
Well-
you to tell us what changed exactly.
Oh, I'm still terrified of women. I just like, my penis is like 8 blocks that way and no floor. So there's this feeling of comfort of whatever. But yeah, no, when I was 15, I was just like, oh my god, a girl. In fact,
my God, a girl.
jumping to music on my way here. I was walking. I'm like, what can I listen to? So I put on the old Spotify, and I'm like, I haven't heard Green Day in a while, and I worshipped
Green
Green
Day.
Day as a kid. Worshipped,
Yeah, you
and I
made
was
that
hearing,
Still do, obviously.
and I was hearing these songs, Insomniac, and I was just thinking, I'm like, wow, I was really, really, really craving any kind of female attention when I had this in my tape recorder on constantly back then. I'm like, I loved music, and music awoke something in me, but I also I always feel like I'm just this dork in a Halloween costume trying to play cool band guy, and of course it doesn't work, but that's how it all started.
Girls
And
find that hot though.
Yeah.
Oh,
maybe you didn't know at
definitely.
the
You like the
time, but-
broken,
Yeah.
shy little.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like when you're that age,
know.
maybe you don't realize that, but it's attractive.
Well, I mean, I
Yeah.
don't like that now, but I would have liked that back then. Now I would just be like, be a fucking man.
Yeah, exactly. But
Bring your penis with you.
But
when
you
go
know,
places.
Exactly.
with the dyed hair and the makeup, the former leather pants, it was all kind of like, you know, when someone goes to Comic-Con in a cosplay and they feel like $1 million because they're dressed as Batman, and it's the same shit. I've played shows wearing none of that, and I feel like I'm not interesting enough to watch, so why should anyone watch me? But when I wear all that, I feel like I'm not the same guy I was before I put this on. Now I can play an hour and a half, run around. Everyone in the room wants my attention, and well, you know.
I got to chime in on that one. I remember the first time I actually saw you perform anything. And you were wearing a fucking fishnet shirt and goddamn fucking eyeliner.
Yeah.
I love
If you
it.
don't feel confident
too.
in that, Ryan, I don't think anything will do
It was
the job.
before emo too, so there was like 3 of us in the city
Actually,
that
it was
wore.
like right at the same time. When
It
I
was-
saw you, it was
yeah,
like
yeah.
right at the rise.
Okay,
of
right.
fucking,
But when I started wearing it, it was
yeah, it was
like
before
pre
emo.
Good Charlie and all that other
It's
like
judgmental.
Yeah, and AFI like didn't come out with The Art of Drowning
You
yet.
truly looked like you sucked Billy Idol's dick just to gain his knowledge.
Okay.
Like,
But that's like that's the funny part about it. It's just like it's like when wearing makeup back then. Robin did it first.
of course he did.
And Robin is like, you know, had no shame. So that's how we started.
Still doesn't.
That's how we started out. But then later on, other people wore makeup, and it would have been a lot more comfortable. Like, oh, okay, other people are doing this too. But when I first put it on, I'm like, I'm gonna get my ass kicked.
You can't get me while I'm on stage.
Your
Yeah.
mom's like, you're not going out of the house like that, Ryan.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I am, Mom.
Yeah.
So going back to the original topic,
Thanks for having me, Liz. I'm sorry.
okay, now that Ryan's sort of in the spotlight, Ryan, what exactly do you do? Like, what is your job, your day job, your like everything?
Well,
Because how do you make a living? Like, how do you?
I feel like if I
manage?
say what I do for a living and given the family-friendly environment of the event by name, I can't say nearly as much fucked up things as I plan to before, during, and after.
Okay.
But I will say that I'm under contract for about 9 months a year, working 4 comic book friendly events. Let's say.
That's good.
That's fine. You could say that. I
Yeah,
know
comic
the
book friendly
rules,
events, and every other when I'm not doing that, I'm chasing other jobs. Like I film music videos for bands. I'm finishing up a one for this band called the Black Moon Boys. I've been in many bands over the years, so that's how I made these kind of connections. And now and then someone will message me, like someone I don't know, but you know.
But you do like video work for Rockman too,
Yeah.
and like you know.
I've worked.
Yeah.
See, there you go. I need you in my life, Liz. You need to remind me that I do stuff. They're like, "What do you do?" I'm like, "I don't know." They're like, "Yeah, I've done some Eventco promo videos with Jason Rockman from Shum, or when he's usually yelling at a camera, it's usually me holding the camera."
There
so,
you go.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Shom, you've done some stuff for Shom.
I've done stuff for Bell Media.
Yeah.
I've met a lot of artists that I had no idea who they were, and in hindsight, I still don't. But apparently, they're a big deal.
So do you find that this is like enough? Like, are you okay? Like, are you comfortable?
No,
or do you struggle?
not at all.
Or like,
I would love nothing more than like I dabble in acting sometimes, and I would love nothing more than to just once a year get on a show for like 4 or 5 episodes, because like I said, I think before taping, growing up in bands, I learned how to budget. But then being 26 and joining the Real Deal and actually touring, I realized I had a lot more growing up to do, and that was a real learning curve. It's like, how do you make $100 last like 2 weeks? And you can.
You totally can. Survival instinct kicks in, and you're able to do it.
Yeah,
I've been there.
You totally can. It's just about not, someone will give you beer eventually. So that's one of them.
Exactly. Well, you know what they say: the more money you make, the more money you spend. So
exactly.
Yeah.
So if I got one of those lottery like acting jobs, I would just put it in the bank and it would never leave. It would be like, this is rent. Stop stressing.
Yeah. What sort of acting jobs have you had in the past? Like, what have you been on?
I was on a show called 19-2 as a homeless guy.
Oh, I remember that.
And I was on another show where my first show I was ever on was, it was funny. I thought it was like a student film because I'm like, why the fuck are they calling me into this? And this dude tagged me on Facebook saying they need some punk rock looking people to be in this thing. So I show up and I just have a few lines and I'm terrified. And I mumble the lines, and apparently, like, that's like really good to do when you're playing a character that's terrified, and you're not all film school waving your arms around. Like, it was real terror they saw in my face. So, big shout out to the reader in that audition. This guy Aaron, who's a great actor himself. He he's like this crazy guy who comes in. He's just like, I need painkillers, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, sir, we don't have. We have Tylenol, and he's like, I need painkillers now, and he steps up me, and I guess the camera must have caught my eyes widen out of. I've never been in an audition before. Is he gonna pull a Brando and try to fight me? Is this guy more method than me? So I get a call back, and I end up getting the part, and I'm like, I guess this must be some fucking student film, because why the fuck are they giving me this role? Then I show up, and there's these trailers and all this other crap, and I'm just like, Jesus.
Fancy.
I'm just like, oh, fuck. So the fear you see on camera is real. Yeah. Unfortunately, they didn't take my really good take, because, and it's funny that Sonic the Hedgehog is making the news right now, because they're like, do you want to have tattoos? We got to give you more tattoos. So I'm like, draw one on my neck. And I couldn't find my picture of the Turbo Machine logo, which would have been amazing to get that on camera somewhere. So I told them, I'm like, I don't know. I'll impress Davey and Nico from Real Deal. I'll get Sonic the Hedgehog. And I'm like, are you sure you're allowed to draw this, though? It's not going to be a problem? And she's like, no, it should be fine. So we get on the set, and let me tell you, there's two things that I'm always scared of. I was scared of that day. Please don't be any long Birdman shots that I could possibly fuck up, where it's 11 minutes, and then you do your thing, and you're like, fuck, set up again. And also, I don't want to hold anybody up. They get to the set, they look at me, and they're like, give this look, this horrifying, like, staring right through you look, and you're like, this is wrong. And they call someone up and they need to approve something, and then we do a take and okay, I guess this is acting, whatever. They do another, and then we do this one where I just let go, and it's fucking beautiful. And the guy I was working with is this guy, I can remember his last name and I apologize, but his name's Brad. And he is super fucking Brando method. He's outside pacing around, getting in the fucking zone. He's a guy from space, comes back to Earth, or he thought it was space, whatever, spoiler. And he comes in, and he does this take, and we do this take, and it connects. And I'm like, this is what acting is. Holy shit. Aww. I want to do this for the rest of my life. And then they stop the take, and they're like, same look as before, this is wrong. And they're like, yeah, we got to get rid of that Sonic the Hedgehog tattoo on your neck. And I'm like, and I'm just broken. I'm just broken at this point. And then they do another take, and they did so many takes. And I'm like, all right, here's another one, and it doesn't connect. And they're like, moving on. I'm like, moving on? No! What about the moment and the feeling and the connection and real acting? And now I can't watch the show because I just keep thinking of Sonic the Hedgehog. So then when Sonic the Hedgehog came out and it looked all fucked up, I'm like, yeah, that looks nothing like my fucking neck tattoo, you bastards.
So what do you?
Yeah.
So what do you like? What do you do to kind of like fill in the gaps? Like if you're struggling financially, like do you take on any like small jobs or
Well, it's usually editing job related, and it's sometimes
so it's still within your field.
Sometimes sometimes. But like I said, if anything went to shit and my dog needed surgery, I'd wash dishes like any other motherfucker, man. Like I would make it work.
Right.
Survival instincts kick in, man.
Yeah.
Like
for sure.
Yeah. A day of nothing is a day that bothers me. I realize I'm kind of like I'm addicted to just some sort of progress.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Lee, being a
Yes.
drummer and having a day job, and now you're doing production, like you're organizing, like booking shows and stuff. Is what made you decide to start the booking show stuff?
It sort of just happened, like
Okay.
just through making connections in the music scene and stuff, and just sort of slowly snowballing from that.
Is it to like make a little bit of extra cash, or is it to help out the scene, or like what is it?
I guess a little bit
get
of both.
more involved.
A little bit of both. I don't really do it for the money. I just do it because I enjoy going to shows. So
Yeah.
if I could put on shows, you
Okay.
know,
Yeah.
simple as that.
Yeah.
It's fun.
And you're also like you do a lot of things too. Like you're also a masseur, and like you do, like
Yeah,
well,
that-
you haven't.
it hasn't worked out, but
No.
no,
Ah.
I don't want to talk about that.
We'll talk after. But okay. But you do quite a few things that's in music involved, and then with the day job. So how do you find the balancing of the two?
Like I said before, it's just passion.
Yeah.
You got to be passionate.
Yeah.
No.
Really fight for it.
Sorry, it's frustrating, but
Yeah, it is very frustrating. Believe me, I walk into my day job every day and I'm just like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. But then I get through it and I manage. But it's tough. It's really tough. Jason?
Oh, I'm a sad story all the fucking together. It's heartwarming to hear stories like Ryan's where he's gotten to have those moments because
Yeah.
that really is what sparks it. I got my start real young. That was like 17 or 18 or something like. Actually, no, I got my start later in the game. Like the first time I saw like a local show, I saw somebody that was relatively like could have been on my level sort of thing. I was like, okay, well, this is what I got to do now. Like I saw it and I wanted it and I was willing to do anything to get it. But it's just, I'm a little bit of the other side of the coin. I haven't gotten to enjoy that real spectacular moment of I'm on tour. Holy fuck, this is amazing.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. You're right. I'm only 30. But there's never. I'm a firm believer with that point of okay, I haven't had my moment, but at no point am I giving up on it. It's not a thing I'm ever going to put to bed. It doesn't matter that I've never gotten to print a T-shirt for any one of the fucking stupid bands I've been in. It doesn't matter to me that I've never gotten out of town to play a show. It doesn't matter. I'm still going to try, and I'm still going to put my whole ass into it because if you are artistically inclined, it's worse than heroin. It's the only thing you ever want for the rest of your life, and that's how you know that it's worth it because it is still the only thing you want. If you have the slightest idea of giving up, it's a lot. It's just like any profession. If you work in a kitchen or if you any or are a tattoo artist or any of that crap, if you start to think about giving up, and there's not just a bludgeoning sound in your head that's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? No, you don't want to give up. Then you're not cut out for this, man. Like, if you've got doubt, then fuck it. But I spent a couple of years without a band and was just trying to stay active and trying to, do stuff where I was singing and stuff where I was like at least pretending like I was still doing something. And I realized that in that time I hadn't been as involved as I'd like to be in music itself. And when it came time for me to be like, okay, well, fuck the people I've been working with, I got to start something new. Nobody was around and nobody was down. So it came to a point where it was like, okay, I'm going to go headfirst into as many music-related things as I physically can. So I got offered to take over the street team that I was fucking handing out flyers for. I said, fuck yes, I'll do it. I got offered to start stage handling and stage managing under Nick Guerin, which bless his little soul, the fucker. And I
Bless
went
his soul
headfirst
too,
into that.
man.
Next thing I know, it was 4 different production companies that were calling me to do it because I could yell at people and I could move gear.
And you also write for Bucketlist.
And that was the last one I was going to say because you're the most important one, you impatient little shit. And I met this amazing woman at my work that was like, I'm starting a magazine. And I'm like, and I was like, okay, that's really cool. And then she's like, you should write for me. I was like, fuck no, I haven't written since high school. And she was just like, you're going to the show on Friday, right? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, you're going to write a review for it. I'm like, fuck. And that's the story. I've been in Bucketlist ever since. And it's all been in the pursuit of staying relevant, staying as an active member of the scene and actively contributing contributing to something that is music, regardless of whether or not it pays my bills. And then, of course, I've got my 40 to 45 to 50 hours a week of doing an actual job because I've got to eat and shit. But it all comes down to, I still love it. I still want to do it every day. I wouldn't sacrifice a single thing that I'm doing out of that ridiculous pile of things that I do. And I don't care that I lose sleep over it. I don't care that I'll miss a meal. I don't care that I got a fucking nasty drinking problem. I still love doing it. It's still everything that I wake up and live for. So that's where it is for me. Like there's no point in your life where it's going to be enough effort to be put in. You know,
Definitely not.
I have a question. So you guys at your jobs, do you ever have to tell your boss, yeah, I gotta leave because I got something else to do?
We can't.
And how
we
well
can't.
does that
So
go?
we're
over?
super
It's
preemptive about it.
impossible. Yeah.
We're super preemptive about it. We both spend a ridiculous amount of time putting in trades and negotiating with other people that we work with to be like, hey, I need you to work this shift for me so I can make it to this thing. We've worked there luckily long enough that we have
Friends.
a sizable amount of paid days off and vacation and shit like that.
You have friends too?
But
I assume
admittedly,
that wanna
and
help you
luckily
out?
I am not saying where I work.
Nope, we are not. We are not.
I have
we're not
called
saying
sick to
that.
work a show. Because it was just something that I really wanted to do, and I had gone a long time without taking a sick day, so I said, fuck it. I have taken like a last minute day off because I got a phone call saying, hey man, I need you to come and do this, and I wanted to do that more.
I've had to take PDOs, like personal days off too, to do like contract work or any last minute like requests that I needed. I had to be like, okay, but I was allowed to. Like I put in the request and I was good. But like for me, sometimes it's tough to balance the two because there's times where like I get an email where they're like, we need you to do this like right now, and I'm like, but I'm at my day job, I can't, and they're like, we need it now, and then I'm like, fuck, what do I do? So it's stuff like that where I'm really like, or if I have to do like a video premiere or something at a specific time when I'm at my day job and I can't go in and post it, like it's stuff like that. It's we can't at our day jobs, like it's hard.
It's also one of the reasons I stick to the job that I hate is for that simple fact that it offers me a day off if I need it or something.
That's awesome.
So
Yeah,
don't love the job, but I love the fact that
you have the
there's a
flexibility
little
and like
flexibility.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'll put up with the shitty job because
Yeah. I wish I
could
had
take
the
a day off or I could leave early or
Yeah, I
to
had
do
to
music
like.
stuff.
I'm actually going to be in Pusa Fest is by the time this podcast comes out, it'll be announced. But Pusa Fest is throwing an all women's panel on May the 17th, and they like women in music, and they asked me to be a part of it, which is an extreme honor. Like I'm going to be
So cool.
yeah,
Fuck
I'm going
yeah.
to be next to what are they called again? Well, the anti queens, who I absolutely adore. Nancy from Greenland, Good Cop, Bad Cop. Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Bad Cop.
Bad Cop, Bad
Cop.
Cop. They're
Yeah.
going to be there too. So they asked me to represent Bucketlist and be a part of like the women's panel, and I had to like stress because I was working that day already technically, and I had to like literally chase everybody down, and nobody could take my shift, and I was panicking, and I'm like, what am I going to do? Like I really want to be a part of this, and I finally found somebody who took my shift, and I promised her like concert tickets in return. I'm like, I was so desperate. I'm like, I'll give you like whatever show you want, just tell me and I'll get you tickets. And she's like, oh my god, that's amazing, thank you. So I had to do that to like get out of it, and
Yeah.
it's tough. But we make it work. I've been doing it now for 6 years. So
So
I'm
I've
kind
got a
of
little
in-
bit of a question for everybody else.
Yeah.
If it pleases the court and Her
of
Majesty.
course.
What of each of you, other than the obvious of like, not getting a record deal or not getting a big enough show, what do you think is the thing that is the biggest detriment on you being able to chase the dream of actually being a musician or having that ideal position in the music industry? What do you think holds you back the most?
Money.
Ooh, that's a big question.
It's actually a great question.
No one wants to
Like
hear my
individually
music.
in your life, what do you think is the thing that is like grounding you, like is your anchor that is keeping you from being
I think
able
it's
to flow?
time. I think it's the fact that you have to do those 40-hour, 45-hour weeks,
Money.
and you can't. Well, definitely money, but also that like I would love to be able to get up every morning and just play drums and spend most of my day doing that, but you can't do that. So, and then you do your day job and you come home and you're so exhausted and you got to find that extra time to do what you're passionate about. And So I guess ultimately time, money for sure, but not having enough time to put enough into your passion, I think.
Absolutely. Weekends go so fast. I'm a Monday to Friday, so my weekends just fly by. Like, I don't even breathe, practically. Yeah.
Well, it's education for me, because well, I'm a little bit different than you guys, because you guys are in bands and are looking for shows and stuff like that, but the goal for me is to get higher education. And as I have 10 years teaching experience, and I finished high school and I dropped out of CJEP. So I'm like the most like technically uneducated person in my whole school.
It's just a paper.
Yeah, I know it's just a paper.
Experience is more important.
But I mean, to a lot of people out there, a paper is important, and it's the difference between me getting paid $70 an hour and having to work like 3 hours a day, and having to work like for $15 an hour. Because I mean, you could do what you want, but if you don't have the credentials, like people like we're talking about people in like the classical music world, which are very like closed-minded and strict people. So if you have experience, like if you have like 30 years teaching experience and you're like an old lady or like whatever, like it's different. But if you're a kid, which like, I don't know, I'm not 30, I'm not 25 yet. So like people look at me and they're like, well, what the fuck do you know? Like, what do you know? You have 10 years experience, but like the next person has like a master's in like whatever the fuck music from like whatever university. So that looks really nice. I can't really show up to university and be like, please, I'm good. I promise I'm good. Just trust me. Like that shit doesn't fly.
It's hard to get into the program,
doesn't fly,
right?
man.
Yeah. It's tough to get into that program too.
It really is. The program I want to get into ultimately is a 1-year intensive master's. And they have about 1,200 applicants a year, and it takes 16 people. 16.
Wow. Have you tried before?
I've never tried before because I need a bachelor.
Oh.
So that's like kind of standing in my way, but yeah.
Go for your bachelor soon to get that done?
I think I have to because I'm not going to do anything else with my life. Like I'm not a performer by any means. If you stick me on a stage, I'm like, I don't even go on stage with my kids to accompany them because I'm nervous.
Hey, you're good. And
we
people
could have
know
this
it.
argument for a long time.
People know it.
Yeah, but I'm still like the world's most nervous person, and like, it's
That
just
can
I'm not a show person. I'm behind the scenes person, you know.
I was talking to you on the way here, where like my friend just played a show with his band for the first time, and like he was so nervous that like he had like his hand in his hoodie pocket the whole time while he was performing, just because he's nervous. But like it doesn't come naturally to everybody, you know.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I guess so. Yeah. But I mean, I know my place in the world somewhat, I think. But yeah, no, it's not money that stands in my way. I want to get the money, but it's the papers that are in the way of the other papers.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What about you?
Serge is pretty set.
I mean,
Serge was born with a guitar in his hands.
Like that.
I would say like
Hawaii
time
and
and money
live
too. Like I would love to wake up every day and just bang it out something in the music world and not have to rely on my 9 to 5. You know.
Amen to that.
Yeah, it's tough because it doesn't always give me what I want in return, even though I love it. So I have to rely on other resources of income and whatnot. But if I could just not even like a set schedule, just be like, hey, like you're gonna do this for a living and you're gonna make an amount that you're comfortable making, no matter what the hours and days are. Like I'm like, I'll fucking take it, you know. Like if I could ever get that, I'll be like, yeah, I'm set. That's my ideal life goal. It's just making an amount that I'm comfortable with, no matter what like the work.
I'm the same. I'm exactly.
Because like he who was saying, like I love progress too. Like I love working. Like I love making myself better than I am and whatnot. I love the challenge. So if it requires overtime hours, if it requires extra days and whatnot, like I'll do it. But like knowing that I'll just get what I need in return, like I don't care. But that's, I guess, time and money is.
Like we also have to sleep too, right? Like you don't want to burn yourself out doing.
Yep, I burned out twice in my life. It's not fun.
Yeah. Liz and I have been at a show and look at each other.
Yeah,
and
we're like,
we wish you weren't here right now. But
no, we're like trying to enjoy this,
you're
but
loving
like
the fact that you're doing it, but you're so burnt and you're like not sleeping.
Yeah,
it's not healthy either. You know.
Yeah, I was on 5 hours sleep for like 2 years, 5 hours a night, because that was my first burnout. I was in school and working and like going out every night and doing all my other like promotion and booking and all my little hobbies. And at the time, that was like in my 20s. That was my first time. And then the second burnout was like not too long. Like it was maybe like 3 years ago. And then I figured out a good way to manage the 60-ish to 70-ish hour work weeks, is just always finding a few hours at least a day of downtime, of just me time. Like just, I don't know, whether it be putting on like something on Netflix and just like zoning out, or meditating, or going for a walk, or like little things like that. So I've learned to manage the crazy work weeks.
I don't do enough of that at all.
Yeah. It's
super important.
I'm a very anxious. Yeah, it's very important. I'm a very anxious person. I have a back, like I mean, blah, 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 blah. You could hear it in my voice. Yeah, and I've gone through the whole depression and anxiety thing, and I still do every now and then. And it's good to have that time, because we forget, and burnouts creep up on you when you least expect them, and it's really scary when they do. So. Yeah, so it's always good to have that. Even forcing yourself to smile, that alone increases the serotonin in your brain, and you're good again.
And
like
you honestly forget to do those things when you do your day job, and then you get home, you're like, rush, eat, and now I got to do the things that I want to do.
Yep.
You forget about taking care of your body. You forget about sleeping properly.
And it's our generation. Like I know all of us are like from roughly like different generations, but we're like in today's time, we're all in this. Like everybody's overworked. Everybody's working a day job, doing a million things on the side, doing this, doing that. We're all overworked right now. I don't know what happened.
It's also a very North American culture.
It is.
Because in Europe, it's not like
no.
that at all. Europe, like your life comes first.
Yeah.
And like
100%.
then your job. But here, it's just like work.
Oh, I know.
Baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's to the point where when I try to take that little bit of downtime, when I try to say like, okay, today I'm going to do nothing, I actually start getting more anxious. So it's like I'm
That's
fucking
it.
forgetting
But you've
something.
been better
I'm
at
for
it, though,
sure
lately.
fucking
I'm
forgetting
the
something.
same way.
Oh man, and then 12 hours goes by, and I'm like, ah, shit. There goes the day.
Then I'll be like, Jason.
At least I jerked
Did
off
you do-
7 times.
That's something. That's
That'll
something.
take care of me for the week. But like it's truly like it's a little bit crippling sometimes. I'll be in bed. It's like, okay, I have a day off. What am I gonna do?
That's
And
when
then
you
it's
need to.
nighttime.
No, but that's
Yeah.
and then if it's nighttime, then you found your time. Like it's learning to enjoy your own company and learning to be comfortable and relaxed when you have nothing. Everybody has to have downtime, no matter what, whether it be an hour or 2 hours or a whole day. Everybody needs that, like at least once every couple of weeks if you're working a lot. So. I just think it's really important, and I always tell all my friends and everybody around me too. Like, did you have your little time to yourself? Like, I always remind everybody, because it's, speaking from experience, it's not fun when you're like completely crashed out.
For sure.
I'm living proof of this. I get a lecture every time I go out.
Yep.
Why don't you take a night off, Jason?
Jason.
I feel
Going
like I have
out is still-
like every 3-4 weeks I crash. I'm just
That's
like,
it.
like,
Yeah.
so
Going
done.
out is fine. Going out is a therapy. Like, you're with you. It's good to be around people and like
Of
let
course.
loose.
Yeah.
What's not good is to drink every single time and like constant on on the reg though. On the reg, I mean like 2 to 4 times a week is you know,
2 is not
it's
so
the norm.
bad,
2
yeah.
is okay. I mean, I did that all up until the age of 32. So like it's fine, but eventually like you die out and you get tired of it, but that's okay. But I just mean like the working aspect. Like when you're doing a lot of work, it's good to take that break. So
It's about balance.
Yeah.
Just keeping everything on a level.
Yeah.
Not overdoing anything,
Exactly.
but still working hard at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, the only way I can think of it is like there's this cartoon Dragon Ball where they learn how to, they wear these big heavy weights on their back and they run around, and they do this for like a few weeks, and then when they take the heavy backpack off, all of a sudden they're way faster, and that was part of their training. I was working construction with my friend for a few years, and
Was this with Dave?
I wouldn't let that stop me going out, covering Fantasia Festival, all that stuff, all the multimedia stuff I do. I learned how to do both at the same time, and doing both at the same time was the most burnout, tiring
Exactly.
experience of. It was so hard to go, but once you like get that in you where you can do both. The job I have now, as far as I'm concerned, is a reward for the years that I wasn't doing it.
There you go.
And when I got the job, I was so appreciative and ready that what I consider a bad day is digging holes in July with 40-degree weather. Like, just your brain completely cooking. If I'm not doing that, it's a good day. If someone's, if something bad is happening, is it the same thing as, am I digging? No, I'm not.
That's a spectacular way to think about
That's
it.
awesome.
As pessimistic as some people might think it is, honestly,
No.
dude.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
knowing where you come from and knowing where you are,
Like,
in terms of putting in towards your dream, putting in towards your aspiration. That's honestly.
Yeah, I'm 35 years old. They're like editing for 15 years, and this is like what you work for. But
Exactly.
now I'm in a place where I'm not making as much as I want to, but these are the happiest years of my life. So what does that say? And when it comes to music and the passion, why we do this stuff, it's just like that magical 40 minutes. It's like you were mentioning before that you're too scared to get on stage. I'm like, as far as I'm concerned, as a teenager, I only existed when I was on stage, and we were playing 30 minutes.
Likewise.
And I'm like in school writing it on our set list again and again and again until I remember it. Not paying attention to class because school was too long. And I just remember getting on stage. I just remember getting on stage, and just all of a sudden, it's Dorothy opening up the door and seeing Oz in color for the first time. Everything is 3D. Nothing was more real and alive until the first time I got on a stage, and I realized this is what life is, and I will do anything I can to do this again.
That's
full-blown
awesome.
heroin.
And it's rare. It's rare for people to feel that. So you're very lucky that you feel that, and it's inspiring because I'm in the same, like I'm still positive that one day I will be able to live off of my passions, and this will be like my full-time gig. Like, I'm still optimistic. I'm working my ass off, but you have to work your ass off. You're an example of that. You have to work around the clock to get where you want to be, and with that downtime in the middle of it. So I definitely, that's really inspiring to hear that. Yeah, for sure.
And even what I do, it's like I technically put in way more hours than doing construction in the summer. But if you don't hate your life, the hours don't matter.
They go fast.
They go fast. Yeah. And it's just, I'm really glad to finally, like, not to have been in a position where I truly can appreciate things. Because when I was in Real Deal, before I had real jobs and stuff like that, we'd go on tours, and I can't speak for the guys. They were doing it for years. I was just on their coattails, all the tours, the work. Here we are, like, we're playing Australia, and I'm kind of like, and
you played Australia?
Yeah. And I remember being miserable because of just, when you're stuck in close quarters with people, you kind of get on each other's nerves.
For sure.
Japan, Australia, 2 weeks, every day, together 24/7. We're in our country. I don't have a smartphone
you start
yet.
To smell bad at a certain point.
We're getting on each other's nerves. And I remember thinking, I'm like, how am I this miserable? But if you told me when I was 15, you might play Vermont, I'd be like, Vermont? That's not Montreal. Oh my God, I got to play Vermont. It's amazing how used to things we can get and then take it for granted. You think that as soon as I get this, it'll complete you. And then you're like, yeah, but it's not that good. I wish I had that. And you keep striving, and you find a reason to not feel like you reached the pot of gold.
Yeah.
And I'm finally at 35 just realizing it's not the pot of gold that I thought I would have, but I'm not digging holes in July in 40-degree weather, you know?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you even need a pot of gold?
There you go.
There you go. Yeah.
The pot of gold has changed a few times throughout my life.
Yeah.
I used to
Just
think,
be content.
Go with it.
if I did this, I could die happy. If I did this, I could die happy. And I'm just like, I almost, like not to get dark, but just some stuff went down a few years back, and I thought maybe I wouldn't, and here we are years later, and I'm just like, all I want to do is things like this, and just it's these little marks that you can write on a wall that people years later can go look at, like a hieroglyphic. I just want to prove I existed. And the music, the acting, all that kind of stuff, when you think you were about to be erased like a snap, and you realize you're not, you just want to leave things behind. Yeah. So things like this is like, the best part of my weekend. I'm here talking with you guys, and I can probably listen to this conversation in 20 years and be like, God, I sound like an asshole.
I mean, you did.
But yeah, but it's just it's just wonderful.
In that same respect, I'm like, it's to such a minimalistic point that I feel different, and Liz can probably attest to this because she sees my ass every day. I am just
a better person after I've so much as had a jam session with somebody, and I've so much as gotten to touch a microphone.
A better
for
person.
A bit,
You're always a good person. You're just happier.
Better. No, but I mean, like, I'm
it's endorphins.
significantly less pissed off with the world. I'm significantly less depressed. I don't have quite the need to drink as much. I feel more productive. I feel more like the gears move more when I'm able to do a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Just a teeny little fucking taste. Like,
Yeah.
the term "I'll suck your dick for crack" like has no bounds here. I will do anything just to be able to participate a little bit in it, which I think is a direct reflection on why I work so much in the day. So it's like it's the endless cycle of life in that kind of sense. You know,
It's all part of your story, man. Someday you're gonna look at this like I just told you about the whole dinging in July. You're just gonna be like, wow, you know, like you come so far, and the fact that all of you are double dipping everywhere, like you're just always working, that when you get the dream job, it's like the ultimate training. You'll be ready for it. You won't be overwhelmed. They'll give you 4,000 things to do, Liz, and you're going to be like, and I don't have to go to the other job because I'm already doing 4,000 things.
I'll cry.
So
I'll straight up cry.
you'll just,
Like,
I didn't realize how fast I am now that this heavy backpack is off. Going back to the Dragon Ball thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
It's for everybody. What was like the moment or like a time period that like made you decide you wanted to be a part of the music industry? Like this is for me.
You're gonna laugh, but probably when I was 6. I
that early
realized-
on?
Yeah, because my mom tells me now, she's like, you never wanted to have kids or get married. When you were 6 years old, you used to say that you wanted to be a famous singer in a band. Like right then,
Nice.
she like, I bought my first cassette when I was 5, which was the Heart self-titled album, These Dreams. And they were Ann Wilson was like my idol since very little. And my dad and luckily my parents are both musical people. They love music. So my dad used to like take me on car rides and explain, you know, don't do drugs. This song's about drugs, and just introduce me to all these bands and blah, blah, blah. So since a very young age, I started piano young. I started singing very young. Chili Peppers was like the first band that I've ever fallen in love with in the 80s. And yeah, so very young, and I actually made my first music review website when I was 16. It was an Angel Fire site.
Yes.
Yeah. And I realized that after, like, recently, actually, in the last couple of years, I'm like, oh my God, I wonder if that site is, I'm not going to say what it is because it's really embarrassing, but like, I wonder if that site is still online, and it is.
Wow.
And
Dude, come on.
no, I'm not sharing. It's really
Off
cheesy.
mics.
And it's
Post-podcast
It's horrible.
information.
There's like all these like anti-Alanis Morissette things on there too, which I couldn't stand her. Yeah. And,
What's wrong with the line of
I can't stand her. That's a whole other story. And I had a section on the site for music reviews. And I had like an email me if you want to review like the latest CD that you bought, and I never got emails, but that's fine. But that was like my first realization that I wanted to be. I was doing a lot in the music scene, but I didn't think that I could actually work in it because I didn't think there was a way to actually make a living off of it.
Right.
So I just did booking, I did promotion, I did a lot of flyering in the 90s, which in early 2000s, which I hated. Jason knows I bitch about it all the time. I fucking hate flyering.
I love flyering.
But like I used to do the hardcore flyering, like when social media didn't exist. So like we were out like from in the freezing cold from like 11 at night till 3, 4 in the morning after the clubs closed and stuff. Like that's when we were flyering. So like there was no social media, so we had to really go ham on it. And I was the worst thing ever, but whatever. I was doing it for my own shows and stuff. So I always knew that somehow music was my passion. I've been going to shows since I was really young, and yeah. But the whole bucket list thing was when I really realized, okay, I can mix what I studied in school and music, my passion, together, because I studied media marketing and design. So like somehow I connected the two, and I'm like, wait a second. And because bucket list started as a hobby at first, like as just a stupid thing that was like, oh, you know, why not? And And yeah, so very, very young is when I realized.
That's cool though.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know if I could single out like a particular moment when I honestly feel like it's just always been there.
That's
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like just a feeling like when you hear a really good song and you just get that feeling inside. Like I just
Right.
want
What was
more
the
of those.
first song that you remember
Oh,
falling in
God.
love with when you were a child?
Good fucking question.
That I'd like to know,
I'd have to
actually.
think about that.
I
But
can I can
Yeah.
answer it and actually
I would
answer
guess.
your other question at the same time. 'Cause
Okay.
You're asking me how
well,
to.
there's Serge's question and then
Yeah.
my question.
Yeah.
So,
I'll think about it.
yeah,
Yeah.
continue if you were. Sorry if I interrupted.
No,
yeah.
that was it. Just that little warm feeling inside when you
Yeah.
hear a good song, or like you're at a show and you get goosebumps. Like that's what I just want to have more of in my life. Like if I could do that. Like
When
I'm
did you
good.
start playing drums? How old were
I
you?
was 17.
Okay.
So it's been like almost 20, it's 18 years. But,
Okay.
yeah.
Right,
Still struggling.
yeah. Aw, it's always a struggle. It's always that's the word of the podcast is struggle.
There you go.
I heard
Challenge,
I heard Basket Case in the car radio coming home from Kitchener like when I was like 10 years old.
Aw.
And I just remember hearing that song, and I didn't even know what he was saying, but there's just something about it. Just like I had never heard anything like it up until that point. Because when I was a kid, I just listened to the Beach Boys and Weird Al.
Weird
I
Al.
still do.
Yes.
I still do. All my favorite things are still my favorite things. It went full circle. But I just remember like just something about it. And my sister had the CD, and I was always stealing it, sneaking into her room. She had the CD player playing when she wasn't home. And I remember when I first heard that, and I think the song "Burnout" with that really cool drum solo, because I started out on drums. I just heard that part, and I'm just like, wow, God, if I could just do that. That would be amazing. And then I pictured myself on a stage, and I pictured all, like, you know, the kids at school that tolerate me, like, oh my God, he's actually cool. And I had a crush on a girl, and she was like my Patty Mayonnaise. It'd be like, oh, gee, Ryan, you're cool. I just thought that if I just could tap into that feeling I'm feeling, then all of a sudden I could get this validation. Because I was a really ugly, weird little kid.
How old were you when all this happened?
When I heard the music, I was like 10, 11 years old. When I first picked up the drumstick, and my mom, our family friend's daughter, this girl Teresa, she was selling a drum set for like nothing, but $50 to a 12-year-old is a lot of money. But I just remember getting the drum set, starting off, and just being like, this is exciting. And right on my 13th birthday, I went to go hang out at my friend's house. And my family was not a music family, but my friend Massimo's family was. And they were, there was always Led Zeppelin, AC/DC, all that playing. And I'm like, all of a sudden, in a span of 2 days of sleeping over at his house, I discovered 50 bands. And it was overwhelming. You know, to be like, oh, I like Green Day, but I like this, and I love AC/DC. And his stepdad played a concert in their backyard, like a community backyard jam.
Nice.
And to me, that was the biggest thing I've ever seen and the most exciting thing I've ever seen. And once again, I want to tap into that world. And it all ends with Green Day once again with...
Your Green Day.
I know. Hey, when I was a
Green
kid.
Day.
This kid, Robin and I had tried to start a band, and there was no drummers around. We convinced this guy, Anthony, who's gone on to play in many great bands. He came over, and I remember the first time I heard a real drummer play with me. I'm playing, they're playing, we're all making the same notes at the same time, and it just, I wish I still felt the way I'm describing, like about anything ever.
I still remember my first
But
jam
it's just
too.
like, I'm
Totally.
chasing that dragon. Oh my God.
Anytime I listen to a new
feeling,
band, that's the feeling I'm constantly chasing
the
for.
biggest explosion of bang. And if I heard a tape of it, I'd probably be like, this is awful. But to me, it was the best song that's anyone's ever played of all time. And I'll never, ever, ever forget that moment.
What about you, Jason? When did you realize this was
I
your
mean, I
passion?
always, like, even from a little kid, I think at like 5 years old, I'd be singing along to whatever the hell would be in my mom's car. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be a singer one day. And of all the things that I started to like dig as a, idiot child that I still am, along the road, I
would constantly, like, those things would change. My interest in those things would be abandoned, but I always loved singing. And I think I was like 16 when I moved back to Montreal from the townships, and I was like, okay, no, I'm putting some effort into this. I'm going to try and put a band together. And I started talking to dudes that I went to high school with. I was very much in a breed of my own when it came to like listening to metal and listening to, eventually listening to hardcore and punk and all that kind of crap. Because that just wasn't the scene at the time, or I mean, technically ever. You've got to find your pockets of fucking hivelings that are into that shit. But I started really, 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 really trying. And the day I knew that I would never be able to give this up was the first time I ever got on stage with my first real band, Camelus. And that was with my like Siamese twin, James. Like, I knew like this is what I'm going to do for as long as I fucking live. But I always wanted it. I always wanted to try, and I always knew that I would somehow get there. And the second I tasted it, I was like, oh, fuck yeah, this is like, this heroin shit everybody's been talking about is awesome. And favorite song first song that like, it's more of a memorable thing in my life than any other like moment in my childhood. Bruce Springsteen, Born to Run. Yep. And Dancing in the Dark. Those two songs were like, that was it.
So you started off the top of the mountain, man.
Right?
Life must have been so disappointing if those are the first two songs.
But I mean, like, I've got a way open mind, man.
No, me too.
When
There's
I
no
get into
progression.
something, I'm fucking really into it, no matter how good or bad it is.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really into it. And Liz knows, I listen to terrible music.
Okay.
I'm starting an emo fucking cover band right now. That's how, like...
I just want to see you.
Can't get worse than that.
I just want to see you do the emo dance, and I'll be happy.
Oh, what the crab shit?
Yes,
I don't
and
think
the
I'm gonna
arms,
yeah.
the wailing arms, and the just
I
like
intend
the
to have
headbanging.
wings. I intend to do a
Yeah,
lot
the
of bouncing
wings.
around.
Yeah.
I intend to
make
like.
my return to emo night just to see.
That's exactly.
for
That's
You
all
should
I'm gonna
fucking
do.
play guitar in my band, Serge.
Yeah,
I
Serge, you're a
can.
guitarist, man. You gotta like.
Are you
Really?
kidding? He was born with a fucking guitar like up his
Yeah.
ass. Like
And
no
like
joke.
now I feel like
That's why it's so open.
He's amazing. Come on now.
Christ, I always wondered who did what to you, man.
guitar.
I'm wondering
Yeah,
if
yeah.
all you guys also had, like, before you started playing your instruments, if you had those fantasies when you listened to music about playing with that
100%.
band,
I'm
we all
like,
had that?
I have
God,
horrible
absolutely.
stage fright, and I was always like, I'm gonna be in a band, I'm gonna play keys, I'm gonna be a singer, and but you're kidding me? Like, no, I'll never go on stage. No way.
Never really had that feeling in particular
Okay.
until like I guess I don't really know what made me want to play guitar. My dad had one at home,
Because you're a natural born player.
and I wanted to play drums, but they didn't want to buy me one, mainly because we didn't have room
No
to put in
parent
it.
wants to buy their kids
Well,
drums.
no.
It just doesn't happen.
That, but like we also really didn't have room. Like the only place we could have put it was the basement, but in basement we had a fireplace, and that would have not been good for the drum sets. And my dad had a guitar, and he's like, "Why don't you learn guitar?" I was like, "I guess." And I picked it up, and I guess that was around the same time that I started listening to heavier music and music that like changed my life. So to that,
How old were you at this time?
10,
Okay.
11.
So you're okay.
Yeah, pretty young, I'd say. I was still in like elementary school. And to like
I don't know, but I picture you like in elementary school, still with your little beard and like
I was a 10-year-old with a dirty beard.
Basically, yeah.
just smaller.
You came out
know?
like that.
Yeah, I came out
I don't know, I
hairy,
just
just
imagine
top to
it.
bottom.
Hey,
The fuck is on his
I met him. I met him when he was 16, and
Did he
full
still
beard,
have the beard?
full beard. I mean,
I
he didn't
still
wear
can't
the
grow a
beard.
beard, so-
30
He
and I
didn't wear
can't
the
get a
beard,
full
but it
fucking
was
beard.
there.
I started shaving pretty young. Like there was enough to shave when I was like still pretty young, I'd say.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
What,
he can obviously grow one. Ryan,
I
I
can't,
understand. He's
man.
bleached
I
himself
can't.
since he was born.
This is 3 weeks of growth.
I get stubble. but
Bleach
that's
will
just
do
where it
that to you,
goes.
Joker.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like I played guitar, and then at the same time I got around like all those bands that like changed my life. So like the one song that like really made a difference in my life was Bulls on Parade from Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah. Okay.
Because Rage Against the Machine is like the band that literally did everything for me, and like I heard that and I was just like, wow, this is insane. And the rap,
Have you seen Rage yet?
I've seen Prophets, so that's
Okay.
the closest I'll
No,
ever been
nobody's
to.
seen Rage
Yeah,
Against
no
the Machine.
one.
I'm
I know
telling you, never happened.
2 people,
You know two?
Dave Boucher and Peter.
And Richard, Richard Brunette?
No.
He's
Oh, you've met my dick a couple of
Yeah.
times. Absolutely. We
Yeah?
were hanging with him at Alice in Chains last week.
He's
Which
seen-
awesome show, by the
Oh,
way.
Yeah, it was a
fucking
great show.
phenomenal. William
show.
Duvall? Damn.
I know 2 people that saw
Insane.
Rage. They traveled to the States to see them.
Funny
shout out
story.
to
Too.
shout out to Jess, Kay, and Lindsay.
When you all were talking about like the cool stories of like getting to shows for free and like meeting like your idols. Like Dave, when he actually saw Rage, told me the story that the show was sold out. It was at the Verdun Auditorium.
I was going to be at that show too.
So
David
he was
and I are
just
close in age.
he was you guys are actually. So he was just hanging like by the McDonald's close to the venue, and he was wearing a strung out shirt. And then all he hears is, "Hey, nice shirt!" And he turns around, and it's the drummer for Rage Against the Machine, and he got him into the show.
See what I mean? That was the 90s for you.
Yeah, and apparently, like the first time they played Metropolis, it was still an 18+ venue, and then the band just went to the back door, opened the back door, and just let all the underage kids in. Yeah,
wow.
I was like, this
So
like
good
validates like why you're my favorite band. Like just doing this
so good
is
back
fucking
then. I
awesome.
miss
But
those
yeah, like
days. Yeah.
played music, got into all those bands. Then
Slipknot. Sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. Go for it. I have a Slipknot story after.
We'll talk about Slipknot for sure. But like all the bands I played in, I was telling her this too. Like I was never really proud of any of the bands I was in. It was all like shitty high school bands. Like my first band was a Rage Against the Machine cover band called Rage Out with an exclamation mark. Actually, yes.
Okay, we're gonna watch that after.
Which,
Yeah.
by the way, when you guys like the first couple times that I heard you guys play with Alex on drums, you guys were like just you and him, guitar and drums. It was like
it was fun,
mind-blowing.
but it was just like
I
it
had
was
never seen that shit in my life. I was like, what,
like
14 years old?
exactly. When you're young and like
It was,
that's the first time you see.
so
You're like,
cool.
oh my god!
It's like, damn, you could like
Yeah,
make
like,
those
went on.
sounds with things. Oh,
Pretty much.
Fuck. Yes, please.
Went on post high school. Still tried to be in a few bands. Still didn't work out. Was never proud of the music I was writing or was writing collectively with other people. And I think that's when I started like trying to get my foot more into the industry side. And it's when I started booking shows was when I was like, I really like doing this. I love like being able to bring people to the city for the first time when it's like their dream to like be on tour and provide them like an outlet to play music. I'm like, this is so like
You don't talk
satisfying.
about it enough, but you still do that today.
Sometimes, very rarely. I'd say like
You have,
twice
1 or 2
a year
shows
I
a
book a
week.
show.
Yeah. Like,
Twice a year I'd say I still book a
and
show.
I miss every single one of them.
Yeah, you do.
That's why I
Love
started
you.
booking shows also. It's like I just want to see these bands play.
Yeah,
Like,
that
I
was
don't
another
care about
reason too,
anything
yeah.
else. Like
That's kind of
I just
want
want to go to the show.
Yeah.
So I'll book
And like
it.
I've made some of my
Yeah.
closest friends booking shows, so it's just
Yeah.
like and like internationally too. So it's just like so cool that it's just like this one thing just brings so many people together in the same room and just creates like a lifetime of memories. So yeah,
100%.
So it's all about.
yeah.
All you
So
peop-
Slipknot.
all you people, everyone who books shows, I gotta say, like I book one show a year, and it's I'm very grateful that my buddies from Bucketlist attended the one
Hooligans?
from this year. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Holiday Hooligans, the
Hooligans.
Christmas show every year.
Holiday
But I go
Hooligans.
psycho promoting that show. Like it's the only show I do a year now because I just want music to be precious, and if I do it once a year, it still is precious,
Yeah.
just as when I was
Like
14.
with Bucket Fest.
It started. Bucket Fest represent coming up.
I know.
I'm so excited.
Fucking awesome.
Indian
like-
handcrafts.
Yeah.
Baby.
I am so happy. Like they said yes with like they were just like stoked. Yes, we're down. And I was like, what? This is gonna be the best.
There was
I'm
about
so
a 5-minute
excited.
period where she was like, I can't tell you. And I have to tell you.
I know. I was like, that's it. I can't hold it in anymore. I can't. I'm so excited. It's gonna be such a good show.
But like when you were saying like booking shows, like it was never about the money for me too. It's like yeah, I want to pay the bands. Like if you want me to pay for your parking, I'll pay for your parking. If
Good
you want
for you, man.
If you want me to like buy you fucking cases of water, I'll buy you cases of water. Like I've paid bands for food and
Suck
shit.
you fucking dick.
Literally, yeah.
But
like,
I think we also recognize that too because we play in bands, so we
Yeah.
know what it's like to do a show and
Yeah.
get $5 and a beer, and you're like,
Yeah.
cool, man. Like, and like, of course, I'll-
Grateful for it. You're
but
like,
yeah,
oh my god, I'm
but
getting something for this.
yeah, it's like
promoting
here's-
shows. I realize now, like, it's so important to give
For
those bands.
sure.
If they get
Yeah.
$20, that's great. Like, you know, like they'll appreciate it.
Val, who's in the Anti-Queens, she was in a band called Black Cat Attack, and
Yeah,
they're playing.
yeah,
they're
we've
playing one
covered
of
them
their
a couple
first
times.
out-of-town shows at Crowbar, and it was simultaneously when it was just going to be Halloween in July. Our show at Crowbar that we put on, and it would have been kind of cool to just go to Fantasia and hang out with James Duvall and Mark Hamill. Like, you know what I mean? Well, Mark Hamill wasn't around, but the cast of Sushi Girl was there. Tony Todd, all these fucking crazy people were at the Irish Embassy. But we had a duty to put on the concert. And at the end of the night, we ended up like giving Black Cat Attack like a lot of money. Like we tried to add a lot because, well, as much as we could.
I mean, for a Crowbar show.
Yeah, for a Crowbar show, as much
A
as
lot of money.
as much as
There's
we
a
could.
proportion to this. Like,
Because they're from out of town, and I get it. And even later in the night, try to get them a little bit more money. And when the Japanese bands would play Crowbar, once again, I don't promote very often, so it's very precious. And you guys have a method, and it's working. And great work, by the way.
Thank you.
Obviously, really good stuff. Putting on the Crowbar shows and stuff like that, we didn't do the traditional please pay to get in because it's Crowbar, no one wants to do that. But what we did for the Japanese bands like Stone Leak and Misled Balls was like, would you like to donate to them? And then the few occasional people would put in 20, so we actually made more money collectively for them.
For a donation.
Then if you charge $5
with the power of guilt, you know, and made the show free.
I find pay what you can shows way cooler than setting like a $5-10 show.
Well,
Because then like people were just like,
Depends.
instead of like trying to break change, like they'll just be like, here's
Depends on the genre of music.
Yeah, but I find for like 90% of the time it works out in your
can
favor.
work.
Yeah,
I mean, for Bucket Fest, I do like the cover, obviously, because I'm paying everybody, and like I put like a lot of.
Well, it's different. It's a different type of setting too,
but it's
you know?
also because I work like all year round, a full-time job and get nothing for it. So it's kind of like my way to get a little bit of something back with like whatever I have after I pay everyone. Obviously,
for sure.
it goes in my pocket to like cover whatever. But I love the pay what you can idea and the donation idea because it's true. People like have that. It's like a psychological like. It works.
You don't have to, so you feel better about giving more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That happened. I walked up to a pay what you can thing and I dropped $10.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
I don't see anybody like
afterwards,
paying
I'm
less
like,
than
why the fuck did I
$10.
do
No.
that?
Yeah.
It took me a lot of balls to charge $10 for the first time because I come from the old scene where if like you charge more than $7, you're an asshole. But I'm like, that was $19.99.
I was super
That
scared.
stayed
Yeah.
alive for
Yeah.
a while.
It
man.
did,
Like,
yeah.
I actually a lot of me blames that Crowbar scene for that. Because a lot of those dudes, which is like a healthy amount, depending on who you're booking, will be like, "Well, what do you mean it's not free or $5?"
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, they get really stuck on that, and it's but we still have to hear Talia when she first.
Oh yeah.
When did you discover
Budgeting moment.
you wanted to be in music?
Tell us your high school stories.
Yeah.
Make me cry.
No. How about no?
I'll
But
tell them later.
yeah, I know you will. I don't know. I kind of think of my musical self as two different entities in some sort of way because I started like classical training from 5 years old.
You said 10 years, and you're already quite young.
Like
so.
5 years old, I started classical training, but I had done like a initiation à la musique, which is like you have when you're like 4 and you're little and you do like you're clapping the rhythms and you're drawing the notes on the board and it's super fun. So it's like kind of always been there.
So you were 5. You
I
were
was 5
young.
when I started piano.
But did your parents put you into that, or were you already like, Mom,
So-
Dad, I want to do piano at 5 years old?
I asked my mother actually not that long ago because I never asked her how it went down. She's a very overprotective mother. So she's very like she was extremely careful about everything in my life when I was a kid. And she would take me to all kinds of because I was in music lessons, she would take me. I also did figure skating, but that kind of fell away after a
I
while.
think we all did that at some point.
Yeah, I did it for like 12 years, I think.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it
that's
just
a long
like
time.
fell away.
I did
yeah.
it for like 3.
Yeah,
never
I
knew
was
that.
not good.
What
I
proper
always came
young
in
ladies
like
you were.
7th.
What proper young ladies you were. You know?
Oh
Piano
God, look at
lessons,
us now.
Figure skating.
If only you knew, Ryan. If only
Oh,
you
seriously. Ugh. But yeah, I mean, I've been going to concerts since I was a little kid, and it always stuck with me. Like something about live classical music is like there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. I don't like it. There's nothing in the world that will ever make me feel that like it's like total surrender and discipline, but at the same time. But you're listening to somebody else, and anyway, I could talk about that for hours, but
I remember the first time we went to Warped Tour together.
but
And
that's
was like a
the second entity,
life-changing- yeah.
because then I
Warped
met Serge, and then Serge was like my kind of
Metal
like
guy.
he was kind of like my guide into like everything rock music because my mom didn't really show me that kind of stuff because it wasn't like a forte with her, so.
We must all have people like that in our lives too that sort of
Yeah.
showed you the way to certain
Of course.
styles or new
So-
discoveries.
When I met Serge, he was flying for Extensive already, and then we kind of like had a fad of like going to
No, I
shows all
wasn't.
the time. Yeah,
Not yet. No.
Or like the
Boy,
year
that was
after,
a
soon
while ago,
after,
yeah.
soon
Yeah,
after.
no. Soon after, I
Yeah.
started postering.
Yeah.
at
I remember
Sage, but
we
like
were
when we
driving
were in
around
high
freaking
school,
putting posters in
yeah,
places.
but
Yeah.
when we were in high school, none of that was happening yet.
It was a big part of our
But
lives.
like that's
back
when I
then.
like started playing in bands and playing music and all
Yeah,
that.
and then he gave me the courage to play the school shows because I wasn't in the music class, and then I wanted to hang out with them, and our teacher was nice enough that I could skip my classes, which I was already doing, by the way, but skip them and not go outside and hang out with like shitty people. And he'd be like, please just come to my class and just go like practice something, do something, constructive. And I think that's where the second entity came from, pretty much. But the song, like the first song that kind of like, I don't know, brain orgasm to me that wasn't classical music, was Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath.
Yeah. That's awesome.
That will like, I will never ever, like, it's etched in my mind forever.
Man, that's
Every
awesome.
detail of it.
Since I grew up in the 80s, unfortunately, my first song was like I mentioned earlier, was Never by Heart. But also 99 Left Balloons by Nina.
Wow.
Nice.
That
the
is what.
Goldfinger cover of that is great.
Yeah, they did a good
Oh,
cover
yeah,
of
it
it.
is. I love
But
it.
like that, my dad caught me
John
singing
Feldman
in my
is
bedroom.
awesome,
It was
yeah.
just ridiculous. But that was the one song that was like, I love it. The 80s, all about the 80s. So
I can think
You
of
should have
another
been an
song.
80s keyboard player. I'm telling you.
I had a red guitar. I was when I
Oh,
was
that's so
younger.
cool. So
Yeah, I know.
jealous.
I don't know where that thing went, but I had a red guitar. They got it for me when I was like 9, when I was playing piano, and I don't know where
Pretty
it went.
good.
I would love to find it because it played Wham's Last Christmas on it automatically.
What else would
Yeah.
you want to play on a red guitar?
Yeah, I know,
Just
right?
put that on repeat.
Yeah,
all
I did.
day.
I pretended that I was actually playing it the whole time.
To like wrap that whole thing up, the first show that I booked
Oh.
was one of the bands was a band called Trespassers from Syracuse, and the singer of Trespassers later on became like one of my really close friends, and they
Oh.
covered Last Christmas from Wham.
Oh, wow. The best.
Synchronicity.
So good. And just in case anybody doesn't know, well, just to let our readers, get readers. Wow, this is when I need more sleep. Listeners, getting mixed up with a bucket list and whatever. Lee is a huge fan of George Michael, so
Understatement.
Essentially is him.
yeah,
So
yeah.
anyway.
He's like
I
the
harness his
reincarnation.
spirit. I like to say.
He's like in you now. He's in
As he
you.
always would want to be. As
could
he
say
would
that.
always want to be.
Has
Yes.
been in
Love
you
that.
before.
You could say he wants his sex.
Yes. So I think that's a wrap. I think we've covered pretty much quite a few interesting things. Got to know each other. This was actually pretty therapeutic in a way.
was.
I thought it was quite
This was
relaxing.
kinda
Yeah.
cool.
Nice
Yeah.
hearing everybody like
Yeah, it's,
where they started and why they're here.
I really like this. It turned out a lot better than I expected. So I'm glad. But
It's very serious compared to the other
yeah,
ones.
this was a little bit more of a serious one. Next
Yeah,
one will
Will
be a lot.
wasn't
What?
Yeah, Will wasn't here.
It's
or
true.
Jason telling Paul
We
to
love
shut
you,
the fuck
Will.
up every
Yeah.
5 minutes.
What? Huh?
You telling Paul to shut the fuck up every 5 minutes.
Paul
Christ.
was supposed to be a part of this, but he got back to me too
Thank
late.
you
So
fucking
yeah,
God.
I know he's got a big mouth. Love you, Paul.
Fuck you, Paul.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks for being here, everybody, on this beautiful, beautiful day. We're gonna probably go get some drinks after, I hope, and food because I'm getting hungry. And I was gonna say that. I know we are at CNS Studios in Montreal recording. Tony's in the sound booth thingy, recording us right now.
One of us is the drinker now.
I know. I don't know. I slept so well last night, but I still feel kind of loopy. Yeah, so that's a wrap. Thanks, everybody.
Woohoo.
Yeah.